Some people don't become dangerous overnight. They start as something normal, a familiar face at the gym, a friend's girlfriend, a quiet stranger who never says a word. But sometimes that's the most terrifying part, because by the time you realize something is wrong, they already know who you are, where you go, and how to find you. These are 3 true stories where ordinary encounters turned into something far more disturbing. And once it started, there was no easy way out.
For the sake of this story, I'll call myself Nolan. It started the way most gym friendships do. You see the same guy over and over again. At first, it's just a quick glance, maybe a nod. After a while, it turns into a casual "what's up?" like you've known each other longer than you actually have. I went to the gym almost every day after work. Same time, same routine. It was the only part of my life that felt controlled, predictable, no surprises. That's where I kept seeing Josh. He had that look, like he wanted people to notice him. Tight-fitted shirts, always carrying a shaker bottle and dragging around a heavy duffel bag like he lived there. He was always there. No matter what time I showed up, Josh was already inside or walking in right behind me. At first, it was normal, just small acknowledgments near the dumbbells or machines. But something about him felt slightly off. Not enough to alarm me, just enough to stick in the back of my mind. One day, I was about to bench press when he called out to me from the rack next to mine. "Hey, can you spot me?" That was the moment everything shifted. I stepped behind him as he unracked the bar. He was strong, stronger than I expected. He pushed through several reps, but on the last one, his arms shook violently. I had to grab the bar and guide it back before it dropped. He sat up fast, breathing heavy, then immediately started talking. Too fast, like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. He asked how long I'd been lifting, what my workout split was, where I was from, what I did for work, if I lived nearby. It wasn't just small talk. It felt like he was collecting information. I kept my answers vague, just general details, nothing specific. But when I told him I lived somewhere in the area, his face lit up in a way that didn't feel normal. "No way, I'm close too," he said, laughing under his breath, like that meant something more than it should have. Before I could even get back to my set, he pulled out his phone. "You got Instagram?" It felt casual, normal even, so I gave it to him. At the time, I didn't think twice about it. That was my first mistake. Over the next couple of weeks, things started to change, slowly, but noticeably. If Josh was at the gym, he'd always find me. At first, it seemed harmless. He'd walk over, nod, and ask what I was training that day. But then he started lingering, watching, commenting on my form like he was some kind of coach I never asked for. "Your grip's off. You should go heavier. Trust me, I know what I'm doing." It wasn't aggressive, just too much. Like he had already decided we were closer than we actually were. Then the messages started. At first, it was just gym memes, dumb videos of people failing lifts or over-the-top edits of bodybuilders with dramatic music. I'd react with a quick laughing emoji and move on. But he didn't move on. He kept sending more and more, every day. Then one afternoon, I got a message from him asking if I wanted to go to a local festival that weekend. I didn't even know it was happening. When I looked it up, it seemed normal enough. Food trucks, live music, people drinking in the middle of the day. I hesitated, but I said yes. I figured it would be a quick hangout,
If it got awkward, I could just leave early. When the day came, I met him there in the afternoon. And that's when I realized Josh wasn't the same person outside the gym. At the gym, he was controlled, focused. Here, it was like something inside him had been unleashed. The moment he saw me, he came rushing over with a wide grin, slapped my shoulder way too hard, and started talking non-stop, like we were long-lost friends reuniting after years. Then the voices started. At first, I thought he was joking. He said something in a high-pitched cartoon voice, then immediately switched to a deep, distorted tone like a movie villain, then back again, over and over. There was no setup, no punchline, just random sentences in different voices. It didn't match the situation at all. I laughed at first because it caught me off guard, but it didn't stop. It just kept going. We grabbed drinks and started walking through the crowd, and as he drank more, his behavior got worse. His jokes turned darker, more inappropriate. He'd point at random people, families, couples, and say things that should never be said out loud. Not clever jokes, not even funny, just wrong. I found myself doing that tight, uncomfortable smile, laughing just enough to not escalate anything, while constantly checking if anyone around us heard what he was saying. The worst part? He didn't care. In fact, it felt like he wanted people to hear, like he was trying to get a reaction. A couple of times I told him to chill. Hey, calm down. He just laughed, then leaned in close, and in a low, whispering, almost inhuman voice, he said my name. Nolan. The way he said it, it didn't feel like a joke. It felt rehearsed. He kept doing it every few minutes, stretching my name out in that same eerie tone, like he enjoyed the way it sounded. That was the moment a thought crossed my mind for the first time. Something is seriously wrong with this guy. Still, I stayed. I convinced myself he was just socially awkward. Maybe the alcohol hit him too hard. Maybe he just didn't know how to act around people. We stayed there for a couple of hours, but the entire time, I felt watched. Not by the crowd, by him. After the festival, I told myself I was overthinking it. Yeah, Josh was weird, but weird doesn't always mean dangerous. I tried to go back to normal. That didn't last long. His messages became constant. Not just memes anymore, real messages. What are you doing? You going to the gym today? Why are you not replying? At first, I answered here and there. Then I started pulling back. I'm not the kind of person who wants to text someone all day, especially someone I barely know. But Josh didn't understand that. Or maybe he didn't care. One night, he messaged me saying we should go out to a bar. He said he invited 2 girls to meet us there. That made it feel normal again, like it wasn't just going to be the 2 of us. So I agreed. That was my second mistake. We met at the bar that night. The moment I saw him, I knew something was off. He was already buzzed. His eyes looked half-focused, like he wasn't fully there. His movements were loose, careless, too confident. We ordered drinks and sat down. 10 minutes passed, then 20. No one showed up. I asked him about the girls. He shrugged. They bailed. He said it like it was nothing, but the way he said it didn't feel honest. It hit me right then. He made them up. He lied just to get me there. That realization sat heavy in my chest, and before I could even process it fully, the voices started again. But this time, worse, way worse. He wasn't just switching tones anymore. He was making sounds, fake laughing, then suddenly fake crying, then dropping into this deep, distorted voice like something out of a horror movie. And the way he blended those sounds into normal conversation, It didn't feel human. People around us started noticing. I saw a couple nearby glance over and smirk, not because it was funny, but because it was uncomfortable, like they were watching someone lose control in public. Josh noticed too, and instead of stopping, he leaned into it. He got louder, more erratic, more unhinged. Every time I tried to steer the conversation back to something normal, he'd interrupt me. "Nolan, listen, Nolan," always saying my name over and over, like he needed to keep me anchored there with him, like I couldn't leave. I felt trapped, embarrassed, not just because people were watching, but because his energy felt wrong, heavy, unpredictable. The bartender kept glancing at us, clearly annoyed, like she was seconds away from kicking him out. Josh kept drinking, ordering shots, trying to pressure me into taking them. When I refused, he laughed, then mocked me, called me boring, then did a fake crying voice right in front of everyone. That was it. I couldn't take it anymore. I pulled out my phone and pretended to check something. Then I stood up. "I gotta go. My brother needs help with something." It was the first excuse I could think of. Josh went quiet. For the first time that night, completely still. He stared at me, not confused, not surprised, annoyed, like I had just ruined something important. "Why?" he asked. "Just stay." His voice was flat now. No jokes, no energy, just cold. I repeated myself. "I have to go." He muttered something under his breath, then let out a fake laugh. But this time, it didn't sound playful. It sounded angry. I didn't wait. I just said, "I'll see you at the gym," and walked out. He didn't say goodbye, didn't even look at me. As I left, I could feel people watching. Not me, us, like we had just been a scene. When I got to my car, I exhaled, a long, heavy breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding, and I made a decision right there. I'm done with him. No more hanging out, no more anything beyond a simple nod at the gym. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Not even close.
The next time I went to the gym, I tried to avoid him. I stayed on the opposite side, kept my head down, moved quickly between sets. For a moment, I thought it worked. Then, I heard a voice behind me. "Hey, what's up?" I turned. Josh, standing way too close, smiling like nothing ever happened. Like the bar, the tension, the way I left, none of it existed. He started talking immediately, asking why I left early that night. I gave him the same excuse about my brother. He nodded slowly, staring at me a little too long, like he was trying to figure out if I was lying. Then, just like that, he started talking about going out again, like we were planning the next hangout. I kept my answers short, cold. I've been busy, got a lot going on. Normal people would take the hint. Josh didn't. He followed me from one machine to another, from dumbbells to cables to benches. Every time I tried to end the conversation, he started a new one. It felt like I wasn't working out anymore. I was being tracked. After that, I started changing my gym schedule. Earlier some days, later on others. Anything to avoid him. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. And when I didn't see him, I felt relief. But then my phone would buzz. His name, again and again. If I didn't open the message, he'd send another. "You good? Why you ignoring me? At the gym?" I stopped opening Instagram completely. Just seeing his name gave me this tight feeling in my chest, like something bad was coming. Then, one night, it did. I was lying in bed, trying to fall asleep. It was a hot summer night, so I had my window slightly open. My room is on the first floor, facing the backyard. Everything was quiet. Until I heard it. A voice, low, stretched, unnatural. right outside my window. Nolan. My entire body locked up. It wasn't loud, but it was close. Too close. Close enough that it felt like whoever said it was standing just a few feet away. Then silence. Complete silence. I sat up slowly, listening. Nothing. I got out of bed and walked to the window, carefully pulling the blinds just enough to look outside. I couldn't see anyone, but I felt it. That feeling like someone was still there, watching. I whispered through the glass, barely even thinking, "Josh." No response. I stepped back, grabbed my phone, and messaged him. "Are you outside my house?" The message showed seen after a few minutes. Those few minutes felt like hours. Then he replied. One word. No. That was it. No confusion, no "what are you talking about?" Just no. My stomach dropped. The next night, it happened again. But this time, the voice came from deeper in the backyard, farther away, near the fence. Same tone, same stretched whisper. "Nolan." I rushed to the window and pulled the blinds open. Nothing, just darkness. That's when I snapped. I grabbed my phone and messaged him again. "If you come near my house again, I'm calling the police and getting a restraining order." I blocked him immediately after. I thought that would end it. I was wrong. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt amplified. Every movement outside made my heart race. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I went back to the window, slowly lifted the blinds, and that's when I saw it. A figure, standing right outside, so close that it blocked part of the dim light. Not moving, just standing there, watching. I shouted, "Get the hell out of here! Don't ever come back!" The figure jerked back, then disappeared into the darkness. After that night, I didn't feel safe anymore. I stopped going to that gym completely, signed up at a different one across town. More expensive, longer drive, didn't matter. I installed cameras around my house, front and back, motion lights, checked locks multiple times every night. For weeks, nothing happened. I started to relax, just a little. Then, one morning, I walked out to my car and saw it. My rear tire, flat. When I crouched down, I saw the cut. Clean, deliberate. Someone slashed it. I looked around the street, half expecting him to be standing there, watching. I didn't confront him, didn't unblock him, because I knew that's what he wanted, a reaction. So I gave him nothing. But I changed everything. New routines, different routes home, less time outside, always checking the cameras. The scariest part isn't what he did. It's how normal it all started. A simple "what's up" at the gym. That's all it took. So take this as a warning. Be careful who you let into your life, because sometimes they don't leave.
My name is Louis. I'm 22 years old, and I live in a small town in Kansas. It's the kind of place where people don't lock their doors during the day. Quiet streets, familiar faces. Nothing ever really happens here, or at least, that's what I used to believe. I've been working at a Mexican restaurant for about 4 years now. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. Most of my routine is simple: work, gym, home, repeat. And almost every day, I go to the gym with my friend Colton. Colton's 19. He's one of those typical country guys, loud, confident, a little reckless, but overall he's a good dude. We've been consistent with the gym for months, always going around 7 p.m. after he finishes work. That routine never changed, until last summer. Colton had been dating a girl named Addie. She was 17. They met on a dating app, And from the beginning, something about that didn't sit right with me, but I didn't say much. It wasn't my relationship. At first, everything seemed normal, but then the fight started. Over small things, constant arguments. She didn't like him going to the gym with me, didn't like him hanging out with friends. She wanted his attention all the time. It wasn't just clingy, it was controlling. I told Colton a few times, "Man, that's not normal." He'd brush it off, said she just cared about him. But things got worse. Eventually, he found out the truth. She had been cheating on him, not once, multiple times. That was the breaking point. He ended it. And that's when everything changed. Because Addie, she didn't accept it, not even a little. She kept texting him, calling him, showing up in places she wasn't supposed to be. Colton blocked her, tried to cut her off completely, but you could tell it wasn't over. There was this tension, like something unfinished was still hanging in the air. Then one Tuesday night, everything escalated. Colton and I were at the gym like usual, same time, same routine. We had just started our workout, mixing our pre-workout, putting on our headphones, getting into the zone. That's when the gym door opened and a girl walked in. She was wearing a red hoodie, blue leggings, and something about her felt wrong immediately. She didn't look around, didn't check her phone, didn't go to any equipment. She just stood there, completely still, staring directly at us, not glancing, not curious, staring, unblinking. For a few seconds, no one moved. Then slowly she turned and walked toward the women's locker room. But as she walked, she kept looking back at us, over and over and over again. A few minutes later, we heard it, coming from inside the locker room. At first, it sounded like crying, but then it changed. Whispering, muttering, like someone talking to themselves while breaking down. It wasn't normal crying. It sounded unstable, uncontrolled, and loud enough that we could hear it through our headphones. Colton pulled one earbud out. "Yo, you hear that?" I nodded slowly. Neither of us moved. We just stood there, listening.
We tried to ignore it at first. I mean, it's a gym. People go through stuff. Maybe she was just having a breakdown. It happens. But this didn't feel normal. The sounds coming from the locker room kept changing. Crying, then whispering, then what sounded like quiet laughter. Like she was switching between emotions. Too fast, too unnatural. It made the entire place feel wrong. About 10 minutes later, the locker room door creaked open, and she stepped out. Same red hoodie, same blue leggings. Nothing had changed. That was the first thing that hit me. If someone goes into a locker room at the gym, they usually change, or at least fix something. But she didn't. She just walked back out exactly the same, like she hadn't gone in there for any normal reason. She didn't grab weights, didn't go to a machine, didn't even stretch. She just started moving around the gym, slowly, drifting. And every few seconds, she'd look at us. Not casually, not like someone checking their surroundings. It was deliberate, focused, like we were the only thing she cared about in that entire room. I leaned toward Colton. "Yo, this is getting weird." He glanced over at her and shrugged. "She's probably just crazy. Ignore it." But I couldn't, because wherever we moved, she followed. Not directly, but close enough. If we went to the dumbbells, she'd be nearby. If we switched machines, she'd appear a few minutes later, hovering, watching, not working out, not even pretending to, just there. At one point, I caught her standing behind us, way too close, close enough that I could hear her breathing, slow, uneven. I turned around suddenly, and the moment our eyes met, she froze, then turned and walked away, like nothing happened. That sent a chill straight down my spine. "Bro, I'm not staying here much longer," I muttered. Colton finally started taking it seriously. Yeah, something's off. A few minutes later, she was gone. Just gone. We didn't see her leave, didn't hear the door, didn't notice anything. 1 second she was there, the next, she wasn't. That was somehow worse. We finished our workout faster than usual. Neither of us said it out loud, but we both felt it. That heavy, uneasy feeling, like we weren't alone, even when she wasn't there anymore. Around 8:40 p.m., we stepped outside. The parking lot was almost empty, only a few cars left. We stood there talking for a bit, trying to shake it off. That's when I noticed it. A car, sitting near the far end of the lot, engine running, lights on. No one getting in, no one getting out. Just sitting there, watching. I squinted, trying to see inside, but the windows were too dark. "Yo, you see that?" I asked. Colton glanced over. "Yeah, that's kind of weird." But again, we brushed it off, got in our cars, and went home. I thought that was the end of it. Just a strange encounter, something to laugh about later. I was wrong, because about 10 minutes after I got home, my phone buzzed. It was Colton, and the first message he sent made my stomach drop. "Bro, what if that was Addie?" I stared at the screen. My chest tightened. "No way," I typed back. But even as I sent it, something didn't feel right. He replied almost instantly. "She's been acting crazy since the breakup. She keeps trying to get me back. What if she followed us?" That thought hit me hard, because the way she was acting, the staring, the whispering, the way she stayed close to us the entire time, it started to make sense. And that made it worse. A lot worse. I tried to shake it off. Told Colton it probably wasn't her, just some random girl acting strange. But deep down, I didn't believe that. Something about her felt too personal, too focused. That night, I tried to relax, ate dinner, scrolled on my phone, did everything I normally do. But that feeling wouldn't go away, like something had followed me home. Around 11:30 p.m., I heard it. A knock. Soft at first, coming from outside my brother's window. I froze, listened. Another knock. Same spot. Slow, deliberate. I got up and walked over to look outside. Nothing. No one there. Just darkness. I stood there for a few seconds trying to convince myself it was nothing. Then, knock, knock, knock. This time, my window. Louder, closer, right outside. My heart started pounding. I pulled the curtain back quickly. Nothing. Again, no one. That didn't make sense. There was nowhere to hide. No movement, no footsteps. Just silence. Then, suddenly, bang, bang, bang. The front door, violent, aggressive, like someone was trying to break it down. The doorknob started shaking, hard. Not someone checking if it was unlocked, someone trying to force their way inside. Then I heard it. Laughter. A girl's voice, but not normal laughter. It was high-pitched, broken, hysterical, like she was enjoying it. Every few seconds it would stop, then start again, louder, more unhinged. My stomach dropped. I already knew. It was her. Before I could even react, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I opened the message. Stay away from Colton. My hands started shaking. Another message came in. You made him leave me. Then another. You're going to regret it. My chest tightened. I typed back slowly. Who is this? I already knew the answer, but I needed confirmation. A few seconds later,
Another message appeared. This time, it wasn't text. It was a picture. My breath caught in my throat. It was a knife in her hand, the blade reflecting light, sharp, real. And in that moment, everything became real. This wasn't just a crazy ex. She was outside, right now, armed and unstable. I didn't think twice. I texted my dad immediately. Someone is outside. She has a knife. Within seconds, he called the police. The banging continued for a few more moments. Then suddenly, silence. No knocking, no laughter, nothing. That silence was worse than the noise, because now I didn't know where she was.
The silence stretched on for what felt like forever. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stood there, staring at the door, waiting for the next sound. But nothing came. No knocking, no laughter, no footsteps. It was like she had completely vanished. And somehow, that made it even worse. Because now, I had no idea where she was. Inside? Outside? Watching? Waiting? A few minutes later, I saw flashing lights through the front window. Red and blue. The police. Relief hit me all at once, but my body still wouldn't relax. I slowly unlocked my bedroom door and stepped into the hallway. Everything felt too quiet, like the house itself was holding its breath. When I opened the front door, 2 officers were already walking up the driveway. One of them asked, "Are you the one who called?" I nodded quickly. "She's here. She was just here." They told me to stay inside while they checked the area. I stood in the doorway, watching them move through the yard with flashlights, scanning every corner. Then one of them called out, "Over here!" My heart dropped. They found her. She was sitting in the grass, near the side of the house, completely still, like she had been waiting to be found. They approached her carefully, telling her to show her hands. She didn't resist, didn't run, didn't argue. She just smiled, a slow, unsettling smile, as if none of this was real to her, as if she was enjoying it. They placed her in handcuffs right there, and as they walked her past the house, she turned her head, looked me straight at me, and for a split second, she laughed, soft, quiet, but enough for me to hear it. That same broken laughter from earlier. I felt a chill run through my entire body. At the station, she admitted everything. Showing up at the gym, following us, coming to my house, sending the messages, all of it. The officers asked if I wanted to press charges. I didn't hesitate. Yes, because in that moment, I realized something important. If they didn't stop her now, she wouldn't stop. I called Colton right after, told him everything. He went quiet for a few seconds, then just said, "Bro, I'm sorry." He sounded shaken, but also relieved, because it could have been him, or worse. The only thing that still doesn't make sense to me is how she got my address. I never gave it to her. Colton swears he didn't either, which means she found it somehow. And if she could find it once, she could have found it any time. That thought still sticks with me, even now. But at least one thing is certain. That night could have ended a lot worse. If the police had taken longer, if I hadn't called my dad, if I had opened that door, I don't even want to think about it. I'm 25 years old, and for the past few years, I'd been going to the same gym almost every day after work. Same time, same routine. Around 6 p.m., the place would be packed, but familiar. After a while, you start recognizing faces, even if you never speak to them. It becomes predictable, comfortable. That's why I noticed him, because he didn't fit. The first time I really paid attention to him, I was doing squats. I finished a set and looked up into the mirror in front of me. And that's when I saw him, sitting behind me on a chest press machine. But he wasn't using it. No movement, no weights shifting. Just sitting there, leaning forward, elbows resting on his knees, staring straight ahead. At first, I didn't think much of it. People rest between sets all the time, so I went back to my workout. But when I came up from my next set and looked in the mirror again, he hadn't moved, not even a little. And this time, he was looking directly at me. The moment our eyes met, he snapped his head away, too fast, like he didn't want to get caught. That was the first moment something felt off. A couple days later, I saw him again, different part of the gym. I was doing shoulder presses, and there he was, sitting on a lat pull-down machine across the room. Again, not using it. The weight stack wasn't moving. He was just sitting there, still, watching. Every time I glanced over, I'd catch him looking at me, and every time, he'd quickly look away, like it was some kind of pattern. That's when I started paying attention, because it wasn't random anymore. It was consistent. Every time I came to the gym, he was there. And the strangest part, I never once saw him actually work out. Not a single rep, not one set. Just sitting, watching, waiting. One night, things escalated. I was doing squats again, focused on my form, when I noticed movement behind me in the mirror. It was him, standing this time, holding his phone, positioned right in front of his chest, pointed directly at me. For a split second, it looked like he was recording. My stomach dropped. I turned around immediately, and the moment he saw me looking at him, he lowered the phone, turned his head, and pretended like nothing happened. That was it. That was the moment I knew this wasn't normal. This wasn't coincidence. This was something else, something intentional, something wrong. After that, I couldn't focus on my workout anymore, because no matter where I went in the gym, I could feel it. His eyes on me, watching, always watching. After that night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. Every time I walked into the gym, the first thing I did wasn't stretch, wasn't warm up. I scanned the room, looking for him. And almost every time, he was there. Sometimes near the dumbbells, sometimes sitting on a machine across the room, sometimes in a corner where he had a clear line of sight. But no matter where I went, he always seemed to be positioned where he could see me, clearly, directly, like he planned it. And the worst part? He still never worked out. Not once. One night, I went to refill my water bottle. As I turned the corner toward the fountain, he was there, standing just a few feet away, so close it made my heart jump. I had never seen him that close before. Up close, he looked worse, pale, tired, eyes slightly sunken, like he hadn't slept in days. The moment he realized I noticed him, he dropped his gaze, turned, and walked past me without saying a single word, not even a glance back. That silence was more disturbing than anything he could have said. After that, I made a decision. I needed distance. I changed my routine completely. Instead of going at 6 p.m., I started going at 9 p.m.
Later, quieter, fewer people. I figured if he had a normal schedule, he wouldn't be there. The first night I tried it, he wasn't there. I felt relief. The second night, still gone. Third night, nothing. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. I started to think maybe it was over. Maybe whatever fixation he had was gone. Then the weekend came. My friends and I decided to go out to a bar downtown. It was crowded, loud, packed with people. Exactly the kind of place where you disappear in the noise. Or at least, that's what I thought. We were standing near the back when I turned slightly and froze. He was there, sitting alone at a small table near the wall, wearing a dark jacket, a baseball cap pulled low over his face. But I recognized him instantly, because he was staring directly at me, not glancing, not casually looking around, staring. The moment he realized I saw him, he looked down at his drink, like always, pretending, hiding. But I had already seen enough. Over the next 20 minutes, I caught him looking at me again and again and again. Every time, same pattern, eye contact. Then he looks away, like a reflex, like a game. That's when a cold realization hit me. This wasn't about the gym anymore. He wasn't just showing up there by coincidence. He knew where I was. Or worse, he was following me. I leaned toward my friends. "Hey, I want to leave." They looked confused. "Already?" "Yeah, I'm not feeling it." I didn't explain. I didn't want to sound paranoid. We left and walked a few blocks to another bar. I kept looking over my shoulder the entire time, expecting to see him, but he never showed up again that night. Still, the feeling didn't go away, because now I knew he wasn't limited to one place, and that made him a lot more dangerous.
After that night, I couldn't shake the feeling. It didn't matter where I was. Gym, street, home. I felt like I was being watched, constantly. Days passed. I kept going to the gym late at night, and for a while, I didn't see him again. No sign, no trace. And slowly, I started convincing myself it was over. That maybe I had overreacted. Maybe he was just some socially awkward guy. Maybe I let my imagination get the best of me. Then, 2 weeks later, everything came back, worse than before. There's a nature preserve not too far from my house, a long dirt trail that cuts deep into the woods. I usually go there during the day to run. It's quiet, peaceful, or at least it used to be. That afternoon, the sky was cloudy. The air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. But I went anyway. I needed to clear my head. I started my run like normal, following the dirt path deeper into the trees. The further you go, the quieter it gets. No cars, no voices, just the sound of your own footsteps. About 10 minutes in, I heard something behind me. Footsteps. At first, I didn't think much of it. It's a public trail. Other people run there. But after a minute, something felt wrong. The distance between us wasn't changing. No matter how far I ran, the footsteps stayed the same distance behind me, perfectly matched. I sped up slightly. Within seconds, so did the footsteps. I felt my chest tighten. I increased my pace again, faster this time, and again, the footsteps followed, matching me, step for step.
That's when I glanced back, just for a second, and my stomach dropped. A man, wearing a hat, head tilted slightly downward, running behind me. His build, his posture, it looked exactly like him, the guy from the gym. Adrenaline hit instantly, hard. I turned forward and pushed myself faster. My breathing got heavier. My legs started burning, but I didn't stop, because now I knew he wasn't just watching anymore. He was following me, and he wasn't hiding it. Up ahead, I remembered something. There was a narrow side path, a dirt trail that led up to a nearby street. If I could reach it, I'd be in public, safer. I started sprinting, full speed, branches brushing past me, feet pounding against the dirt. Behind me, his footsteps got louder, faster, closer. Then suddenly, I heard it. He broke into a sprint too, heavy footsteps crashing through the trail behind me, closing the distance. Fast, too fast. I turned sharply onto the narrow path leading up to the street. My legs felt like they were going to give out, but I kept running. I had to. I reached the end of the path and burst out onto the street and started screaming, "Help! Someone help me!" My voice cracked, loud, desperate. A man standing in a driveway across the street turned immediately. The moment the guy behind me saw him, everything changed. I turned back just in time to see it. He stopped, right at the edge of the trail, frozen, like he hit an invisible wall. For a split second, he just stood there. Then slowly, he turned around and ran back into the woods. Gone, just like that.
I stood there in the street, gasping for air. My chest felt like it was going to explode. Every breath was sharp, uneven, desperate. The man from the driveway rushed over. "Hey, are you okay? What happened?" I could barely speak. I kept looking back toward the trail, expecting him to come charging out again. But he didn't. He was gone, completely gone, like he had never been there at all. I think someone was following me, I finally managed to say. The man looked toward the trail, then back at me. "You want me to call the police?" For a second, I thought about it, but what would I even say? That a guy from my gym had been watching me, then chased me through the woods? I had no proof, no name, no clear explanation, just a feeling, and that feeling suddenly didn't seem like enough. "I'm okay," I said, even though I wasn't. "I just need a minute." He stayed with me for a bit, making sure I could breathe normally again. After a few minutes, I thanked him and walked home, but the entire time, I kept looking behind me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound outside made me tense. Every shadow in my room looked wrong. My mind kept replaying it over and over. His footsteps, matching mine, then chasing me, closing in. If that man hadn't been standing in his driveway, I don't know what would have happened. And honestly, I don't want to know. After that day, I never saw him again. Not at the gym, not anywhere. But that didn't make me feel better, because people like that don't just disappear. They stop when they want to stop, or when something interrupts them. A few weeks later, I canceled my gym membership, found a new one across town, different area, different people, different routine. Just like before, I changed everything. Now, whenever I'm in public, I pay attention, a lot more than I used to. Who's around me? Who's looking? Who's too still?
Because sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the loud ones. They're the quiet ones. The ones who sit in the corner, watching, waiting, until the moment you're alone.